Your soil is lying to you. It looks like soil. It smells like soil. But if your plants are struggling, your water is pooling, and your fertilizer bags are doing absolutely nothing, then what you have beneath your feet isn't soil anymore. It's dust pretending to be alive. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why that happens, how to test for it in 3 minutes flat, and how to fix it using liquids that cost almost nothing. And the third method I'm saving for last. It sounds too simple to be real, but it may be the single most powerful thing you can do for a dying garden. Stay with me. Here's what nobody talks about when they sell you fertilizer. Healthy soil isn't a mineral, it's a community. Billions of organisms, bacteria, fungi, earthworms, protozoa, live beneath your feet, forming a living web that breaks down organic matter, feeds your plants, holds water like a sponge, and rebuilds structure season after season. When that community collapses, the ground looks the same from above, but underneath, it's empty, silent, and no amount of fertilizer can fix silence. So before we talk about remedies, let's talk about how you know. Because diagnosing dead soil is something you can do this afternoon without spending a cent. Step outside and bring a shovel. Press your foot on the blade and lean your weight in. If it slides into the earth with a satisfying quiet crunch, that's what living soil feels like. But if the blade bounces, if you feel a jolt travel up your leg, if the ground pushes back, your structure has collapsed. Air can't move, roots can't explore, and the microbes that do the real work of growing food have nowhere to live. Now dig a hole roughly as wide and deep as a coffee can. Fill it with water. Let it drain once, then fill it again. Watch what happens. If the water stands there for more than an hour, your soil is suffocating. Waterlogged at the root level even when the surface looks dry. But if the water vanishes in seconds, like pouring into sand, then nutrients are draining away before your plants ever touch them. Either extreme is a sign of lost biology. The third test is the most important. Scoop one full shovel of soil and spread it gently on a tarp. Look closely. Count the earthworms. In healthy soil, you should find at least 3 to 5 in that single scoop. Earthworms are nature's own measure of life. No worms means no microbial food chain. And no food chain means nothing you plant will ever quite thrive, no matter how much effort you put in. If any of these 3 tests ring a bell, you are not alone. And here's the part I want you to hear clearly. You didn't cause this on your own. Modern soil dies slowly and quietly, for reasons our generation never had to face when we first started gardening. Years of chlorinated water, chemical fertilizers, heat stress, and compaction suffocate the invisible workforce underground. It happens so gradually that by the time we notice, it feels like the garden just gave up. But here's the truth that changes everything. Soil can come back. Faster than you'd think. And it doesn't take a trip to the garden center. It takes biology. The same biology that farmers around the world quietly used for centuries before fertilizer companies convinced us otherwise. Now, the thing I'm about to share next, most gardeners, even experienced ones, have never tried this. Give me 60 more seconds. The first ancient liquid is something you may have been throwing away your entire life. If you rinse rice before cooking, and most of us do, you've seen that cloudy, milky water that forms as you swirl the grains. Most people pour it straight down the drain. Generations of farmers across Asia, South America, and parts of the American South knew better. That cloudy water is loaded with starch. And starch is instant energy for lactic acid bacteria, the tiny first responders of damaged soil. When you give them that starch, they wake up fast. They break down tough organic material, suppress harmful pathogens, and begin softening the compacted layers that have been building up for years. Making rice wash is almost embarrassingly simple. Take 1 cup of uncooked rice, any variety works, and add 2 cups of clean water. Swirl it firmly. You want the water opaque and creamy looking. Pour that liquid into a clean jar. Cover it with a paper towel or cloth secured with a rubber band. Do not use a sealed lid. These organisms need oxygen to do their work properly. Set it in a cool, shaded corner of your kitchen for 2 to 3 days. What you're looking for is a mildly sour smell, something like sourdough or yogurt or pickles. That scent tells you the good microbes have taken over. If it smells foul or sulfurous, start fresh. When it's ready, dilute it. 1 part rice wash to 10 parts clean water, and pour it gently into the soil at the base of your plants. Not on the leaves. This is food for the underground world. Within days, many gardeners notice that water starts soaking in more easily. Mulch softens. Seedlings stand a little straighter. Small changes, but they signal something big happening below the surface. We're halfway through now, and the method I really want you to hear is still coming. But first, let's talk about what to do once the soil has woken up. Because waking the soil is only step one. The next step is giving your struggling plants the guidance they've been missing. Not more nitrogen, not more phosphorus. Something that commercial fertilizers cannot provide. Natural growth signals. Hormones and enzymes that tell roots to stretch, stems to thicken, and leaves to green up. And here's where weeds become your greatest gardening allies. The second ancient liquid is called fermented plant juice. The idea is beautifully practical. Fast-growing plants, the ones that seem impossible to kill, are fast-growing for a reason. They're loaded with the very hormones and growth compounds that your struggling plants are missing. When you ferment those vigorous plants correctly, you extract that living essence. Walk your yard and gather about 2 pounds of anything that grows aggressively. Stinging nettle works beautifully. So does chickweed, dandelion greens, grass clippings, or trimmed vegetable tops. If it grows quickly, it has what we need. Chop the material into small pieces to expose more surface area. Then mix it with an equal weight of brown sugar. Coat everything thoroughly until the plant matter looks glossy. Pack the mixture loosely into a jar. Place a small weight on top, a rock, a plate, to press it down gently. Cover with cloth, not a lid. Set it in a dark, cool corner for 5 to 7 days. What forms is a dark, rich, slightly syrupy liquid. Strain it out and keep it in a separate container. That is your fermented plant juice concentrate. When you use it, dilute 1 part concentrate in 20 parts water. Apply it at the base of your plants in the morning or late afternoon, not in the heat of the day. Over the following days, plants that once drooped begin to lift. Yellowing fades back to green. New growth appears on tips that have been stalled for weeks. What's remarkable about fermented plant juice is that it cannot burn. It cannot overdose. It works with your garden's existing biology rather than overriding it. For gardeners who've accidentally over-fertilized and watched plants suffer, that gentleness feels like a relief. But the third method, the one I've been building toward, is the most powerful of all three. Because what rice wash begins and fermented plant juice encourages, compost tea completes. And when you understand what it does underground, you'll never look at a bucket of water the same way again. Compost tea is a living brew. Every drop is packed with millions of beneficial microbes ready to colonize new soil. Unlike fertilizers that drop nutrients into a biologically empty space, compost tea repopulates the entire underground community, the bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms that form the invisible workforce behind every healthy garden. There's a substance these fungi produce called glomalin. It acts like nature's own glue, binding loose soil particles into soft, crumbly clumps. That loose, airy texture every gardener recognizes as the real thing. You cannot buy glomalin. You cannot manufacture it. You can only grow it. And compost tea gives you the organisms that make it. Here's how to brew it properly. Start with clean water. If you're using tap water, let it sit overnight in an open bucket so the chlorine evaporates. Add 2 pounds of fully finished compost, the kind that smells earthy and sweet, not sour or raw. Place it into a breathable bag. An old pillowcase works perfectly. And hang it in the bucket like a giant tea bag. Stir in 1 tablespoon of molasses. This feeds the microbes while they multiply. Now here is the step that separates real compost tea from plain compost water, the air. Place an aquarium air stone in the bucket and let it bubble continuously for a full 24 hours. That oxygen keeps harmful bacteria out and encourages the beneficial aerobic organisms to multiply at remarkable speed. After 24 hours, you'll see foam forming on the surface. That foam is alive. It is the visible sign of a thriving microbial community ready to go to work. Apply it immediately. Pour it at the base of plants or use it as a gentle foliar spray. If lifting a heavy bucket isn't comfortable anymore, simply scale the recipe down into a 1-gallon jug. The results are the same. What happens after that first application is something many gardeners describe as the turning point. Water begins to soak deeper. Soil that once felt like pavement starts to crumble between your fingers. Roots push further. Plants that were just surviving begin visibly thriving, and it compounds. Each season becomes a little easier than the last because you're not just treating symptoms. You're rebuilding the ecosystem that does the work for you. Now let me show you how to use all three together, because the real power comes from weaving them into a simple seasonal rhythm. Early spring is when you reach for rice wash first. Think of it as the gentle nudge that tells dormant soil microbes it's time to wake up. Follow it within a week with a fresh batch of compost tea, which repopulates the underground community just as new growth is beginning. This combination alone can transform rigid, lifeless spring soil into something soft and cooperative within just a few weeks. Once summer arrives and temperatures climb, plants enter their most demanding stretch. This is when fermented plant juice earns its place. Apply diluted fermented plant juice every 2 weeks as a quiet, consistent support. Not a push, an encouragement. You'll see leaves firm up, stems thicken, and new buds appear in conditions that previously would have stopped growth cold. In autumn, before you close the garden down, give the soil one final drench of compost tea. This one is not for the plants, it's for the soil itself. Those microbes spend the winter quietly breaking down leaves, building glomalin, and preparing a richer bed for next spring, while you rest indoors with something warm in your hands. 4 steps across 4 seasons. No heavy lifting, no expensive products, just biology doing what biology was designed to do. And here is the thing older generations understood instinctively. The thing that gets lost in modern gardening advice. Plants don't thrive because of what you add to the soil. They thrive because of what you allow the soil to become. Fertilizer feeds a plant. Biology feeds the system that feeds the plant. There is a profound difference between those two things, and once you feel it in your garden, you never go back. The invisible workforce beneath your feet. The bacteria, the fungi, the earthworms. They work while you sleep. They don't tire. They don't ask for much. They need organic matter, a bit of food, and a healthy environment. Give them that, and they will rebuild your soil more thoroughly and more permanently than anything you can buy in a bag. So if your garden has felt like a struggle, if you've been adding fertilizer and seeing nothing change, if your water runs off instead of soaking in, take heart. Your soil isn't broken beyond repair. It's just been quiet for too long. And quietness, it turns out, is something a little rice water, a jar of fermented weeds, and a bucket of living compost tea can answer beautifully. You already have most of what you need. The rest is simply patience. And gardeners, real gardeners, have never been short on that. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried any kind of homemade soil liquid? A compost steep, a weed tea, even just soaking banana peels in water? Tell me what you used and what happened. Drop it in the comments below. I read every one.